Welcome to another episode of the HeatStrokes podcast.
I should have yelled too.
Hosted by Brady Kannon, presented by Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. Get ready to experience golf as you've never seen and heard it before.
The price is wrong.
Through the lens of Brady's experienced eye as he braves the toughest courses in the West under the scorching Las Vegas heat. Your course reviews, expert PGA analysis, and top weekly golf betting strategies are teed up and ready to fire. Here's your starter, Brady Kannon.
It is deadheatgolf.com, home to the HeatStrokes podcast, presented by Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. Welcome in, everybody, to episode number 13. Let's hope it's lucky 13. I'm Brady Kannon, along with our guest host today, John DeSimone. He is a professional sports bettor and handicapper from the Great White North, not too far from this week's PGA Tour stop in Detroit, Michigan. You can follow him on Twitter at 3holes1. Johnny, great to have you on the program today, the HeatStrokes podcast. And I knew you were always a candidate for this show because way back when we played golf together in the Westgate SuperContest Weekend golf tournament. That's, of course, in mid-August, the dead heat of summer, a HeatStrokes moment for sure. And you, my friend, were lucky enough to be paired with the incomparable Brent Musburger that day.
Yeah, Brady, good to be with you. Thanks for having me on. I was lucky to get to play with Brent and also Vinny Magliulo that day. We had a great time, lots of laughs and drinks. Brent had his usual Johnny Cash black attire on that day, in the middle of summer out there. And it was definitely one of those experiences that, when you're there, you're just going to put some tape over your mouth and you're just going to sit back and just listen to all the stories being told all day long by Brent and Vinny. It was a pretty cool day, pretty cool moment, and a round that I'll never forget.
Absolutely. You have some good stories from that day, I know. Of course, in the second half of the program today, we will preview the Rocket Mortgage Classic, just in its fifth year on the PGA Tour schedule, and a pretty darn good field this year as well, as we near ever closer to the British Open, the fourth and final major of the season. But before we do that, we will dive into our featured golf course today, and that is Primm Valley, a 36-hole facility just outside of Las Vegas, a Tom Fazio design. They have the Lakes course out there and the Desert course. It's actually located in California, just a mile or two past the Nevada-California state line, about a 40-minute drive from the Las Vegas Strip. Now, the Lakes course came first. It was then followed by the Desert course, and certainly, as you can imagine by the name, the Desert course certainly has more desert influence in the design than the Lakes does. But both of these courses really, I think, more so feature the typical Tom Fazio characteristics. Some of the bunkering and the wider fairways, the resort nature, and some of the twists and turns to the golf course. There are no homes on either golf course, the Desert or the Lakes, just vast desert and mountain scenery. And because it's off the Strip a little bit, the prices are extremely affordable. John, you and I have both played both of these courses a handful of times. What are some of your thoughts of your experiences at Primm Valley?
Yeah, a lot of what you just said, Brady. It's a great golf course by Tom Fazio there, just a 40-minute drive from the Las Vegas Strip. And, when you arrive there, they load your bag for you, they stock you up, have a great driving range, warm-up area there. And then you got two 18-hole courses to choose from. You got like you said, the Desert course and the Lakes course. And for the Desert course there, they do have a few water holes, plenty of bunkers. The fairways are tighter off the tee than the Lakes course. But you have to keep your ball in play there off the tee. If you start going a little sideways off the tee and you get in the desert landscape there, and your ball can get stuck in some of that cacti they have out there, and the next thing you know, you're forced to take an unplayable or having to punch out there, and you start doing this a few times, it can make for a long, tough day there. And and for the Lakes course there, there is some elevation there, no real force carries. You do have to avoid plenty of bunkers also. They have water in play in about 10 of the 18 holes there, and much more forgiving off the tee. Fairways are quite wide, and everything does slope towards the middle, as you stated, Brady. And I played there last month, and some of the greens there, they suffered some disease on them, some fungi. And in talking with some of the staff there afterwards, they're working really hard to bring them back there. And once they do, it's going to be it'll be all good to go again after. And we definitely share the same thoughts, Brady, on Prim Valley there. I kind of call it like my Serenity Now golf course. It's like you get away from the hustle bustle of the Las Vegas Strip there, and you get out there, and it's like really calm, and you get to enjoy the scenery. Like you said, like there's no houses on the golf course. It's never crowded. You got like the desert and mountain. The scenery there is just beautiful there. Like you stand on an elevated tee box there. You hit your ball. You watch it go. In the mountain backdrop there. It's pretty cool to see. And like you said, it's very affordable. The staff is friendly and helpful there, and it's just a place to go to decompress there from Las Vegas there, and just a nice, relaxing, good time out there.
Yep, I'm with you 100%, my friend. I mentioned some of the Tom Fazio characteristics, and the bunkering is very cool, where they can actually be kind of treacherous. You've got that thick grass kind of around the edges, and you get some bunkers that are pretty deep. And if you find yourself in one, it can be very penal. And then the fairways, as you allude to as well, Johnny, they do tend to kind of funnel back towards the middle. And if you have a tee shot that is a little bit offline, it will tend to trundle back towards the center of the fairway. Mr. Fazio, very nice about the way he's done that. Some of the greens are elevated, causing some really challenging second shots. I would say the greens are pretty big. They're certainly not small. A lot of them will slope from back to front, and they are bent grass greens. You mentioned the little problem they had there not long ago with the fungus. I tell you, when they're in good shape, they roll beautifully. These are some of the best greens I've ever putted on. The course is very, very scenic. It kind of feels like you're out in the middle of nowhere, even though you're only a couple miles from that Nevada-California state line. And you talked about it too, a massive practice facility. Very cool clubhouse, and you can see it right there on the graphic. The patio, kind of a southern style, almost looks like Augusta National. And there's a great spot on that patio right in front of the 10th tee box on the Lakes course. You can sit there and have a bite to eat or a drink or what have you, and watch players tee off on number 10, a pretty cool spot. Johnny, I want to narrow it down a little bit here and ask if you have a favorite hole or maybe two on the desert and or the Lakes courses out of Prim.
Yeah, that's a tough one, Brady, because like there's so many holes I do enjoy playing out there because, like I just mentioned, and you mentioned also of the scenery, right? It's really beautiful out there and everything. But I do like the sixth hole on the Lakes course. It's a par 3 and it can play up to about 190 yards. It's an uphill shot. It's got you have to carry some water there. It's got bunkers around the green there, and I like golf holes that that forces you to make a golf shot there. And if you hit it fat or you just don't catch it there, you're going to be in the drink there, and you're going to take a penalty there, and you're going to pretty much just take a drop there and have pretty much the same shot that you just played there. So like on a hole like this, you could have like a wide range of scores from like a birdie 2 to a triple 6. So I enjoy playing golf holes that present a little challenge, and this hole kind of has a little bit of that.
Well, I'll tell you what, and it's good. You have one from the Lakes. I have one from the desert. My favorite hole is on the desert side on the back 9, number 14, and it's a short par 4 where the entire fairway kind of slants a little bit from left to right. There is a bunker on the far left-hand side deep in the fairway, and then you hit over to a green that is almost like an island green across this raw desert. Now you can be safe off the tee and take a 3-wood, leaving yourself with about 150 yards in. You can gamble a little bit and try and cut a driver to, make up for a closer approach shot into that green. But then that approach shot into that green, because of the tilt of the fairway, a lot of times you'll end up with an uneven lie. Now, it's not a particularly demanding golf hole. It is the number 14 handicap, but that tilt, the entire hole kind of slopes from left to right, and the green tilts from back to front back into the raw desert. So there is an angle to almost every shot you're going to face here. But if you can hit a good tee ball and execute that second shot with a wedge or a short iron, you're typically going to be looking at a birdie putt. And I like the strategy off the hole here, Johnny, and the ability to put a low number on your scorecard if you play this hole correctly. I just think it's a really cool design, and it's really like no other hole you see in Las Vegas.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, exciting. Good stuff.
Did you make a bogey there?
I did. I put it in the bunker there, got out, and two putted. Yeah, I did.
Okay, all right. Well, I've made both, I think, birdie and double bogey on that hole, but I really like the way it sets up there. Just a fun hole to play. John, of course, we talked about some good stories that you have with Vinny Magliulo and Brent Musburger, of course, from the days of the SuperContest golf event. But what about a good story or a moment here from Prim Valley? Do you have something you recall from one of your times out there playing?
Yeah, like, Brady, like playing, different courses around the Las Vegas area, you kind of see all kinds of wildlife, right? Like I've seen like bighorn sheep out there, rabbits, and, like back here at home, like we don't see much, obviously, right? And like when we watch the PGA and you see like alligators just hanging out just off the fairways, and you see the players hitting their ball just like, like a few feet away from them, and then some of the players are going up to the alligators and taking selfies with them. Like I'm not even teeing off, Brady. Like I'm just heading to the next hole. So when I was playing there, the Lakes course last month there with your co-host, our good friend Matt Youmans, I hit a ball off the tee, right, and it goes into the desert landscape area there. So I go in there and I'm looking for my ball there, and next thing you know, something jumps out at me and scares the what out of me, right? So I run back to the golf cart there, and Youmans is laughing at me, and he's like, he's like, it was probably just like a lizard, they're harmless. It's the rattlesnakes that you need to be worried about. And I'm like, yeah, okay, put that in the memory bank kind of thing, right? So a few holes later, it goes on there, and I hit another one back into the the desert landscape there, and I was like, nope. I'm not going in there again. I'm just going to play it as a lost ball. I'm going to hit another one right here, and I'm just not going to mess with any creatures today. That's just not going to happen with me today. I'm just not going to mess with any of them today. So that it's a little funny story on scaring me a little bit out there at that time.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Knock on wood here. Thankfully, I have never seen a rattlesnake in my life. But you're right about the wildlife. I've seen some incredible lizards. I've seen desert iguanas, coyotes. I've seen coyotes with humans before. Burros. I've seen burros, donkeys playing golf with Matt before as well. Right. And they typically, road runners. I think a road runner is such a cool bird to see out in the desert here. And typically, John, I think you see a lot more of that stuff in the dead heat of summer when the weather is a little warmer and the reptiles are out and that type of thing. But I tell you, my favorite story was a few years ago. And speaking of Youmans, this was at the VSiN tournament, of course, a tournament that he arranges at Prim every year. And of course, one of the co-founders of the HeatStrokes podcast, because Matt and I play so much golf together in the summertime. But I had played that day actually with a couple guys that have contributed to this podcast before as well, Nick Bogdanovich and JT the Brick. And then the fourth member of our party was a former player at UNLV, and I believe his name was Darren. Two-person scramble event, and Darren and Nick were paired together as a team, and it was all Darren all day long. It was an absolute pleasure to watch. This guy was literally stuffing in iron shots to inside of 10 feet, just hole after hole. He was absolutely on fire. And so while that was really fun to watch, it was not as fun to watch Bogdanovich, who literally got a case of like heat stroke or something close to it anyway. I mean, he was just really boiled over. We were feeding him with Gatorade, everything we could do. I think he actually quit about the last 3 or 4 holes. Now, again, this was early August. It was very hot. And it was kind of surprising to see out of Nick because I've played plenty of golf with him in the summertime. And he's a Las Vegas native, so it's not like he's not used to this stuff. But go see him at Circus Sports the next time you're in town, Johnny, and ask him about this round. You know, good, funny story for me and watching Darren play. But Nick probably doesn't have as fond of memories as I do.
Yeah, it's a great story. I will definitely reach out to Nick next time I'm down there at Circa there.
Well, Prim Valley carries a distinct honor. It is one of only 3 properties here in Las Vegas that is designed by Tom Fazio. The other 2, Wynn Golf Club and Shadow Creek. So some pretty stellar company right there. Definitely a resort-style property, wide fairways, picturesque views. You've got hotel accommodations just a couple miles away at the state line. I know a lot of people that will either drive into town on their way into Las Vegas or on their way out, either coming from or going to Southern California, that will make this a stop and play around a golf at Prim Valley. We talked about the affordable pricing. I'm talking in peak season here, March, October, what have you. You won't pay more than about $125. And in the summertime, you can play for well under $100. And in the afternoons in the summertime, you can play for like less than $50. It's really a heck of a deal. You can find them online at primvalleygolf.com, or you can also find them on our website, deadheatgolf.com, as one of our featured courses. You can also give them a call, 702-679-5509, and tell them the fellas from the HeatStrokes podcast sent you. We're going to take a quick break and be back with our picks for the Rocket Mortgage Classic at Detroit Golf Club. But before we do, a quick word from our terrific sponsors, Play Studios, Bascent Realty, Las Vegas Advisor, and footballcontest.com. And football contest season is alive and well here in Las Vegas and throughout the summer. The Circa Resort has their contest ready for sign up, and the Westgate SuperContest, their signups begin on July 1st. So look into footballcontest.com and save some money by using the promo code HEAT at checkout. We will be back with more of the HeatStrokes podcast presented by Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas in just a moment.
When the HeatStrokes crew isn't burning up the hottest golf courses in the country, playing a game we'd all spend a lifetime trying to master, they're doing something just as smoking, but a whole lot easier. They're playing My Vegas Slots. It's a top-ranked, free-to-play mobile app that lets you earn valuable real-world rewards from some amazing partners like MGM Grand, Bellagio, and Norwegian Cruise Line. You can score rooms, great meals, show tickets, and more just for playing. Download My Vegas Slots today from your favorite app store. And if you're anything like Brady and Matt, we know you're going to love it. And that's something you can bet on. Want to gamble like the pros? At LasVegasAdvisor.com, you'll find the world's best how-to books, software, and strategy cards featuring blackjack, poker, video poker, tournament play, and of course, sports betting, including 2020 sports betting. Think like a pro, which contains an 85-page section on betting golf. And don't forget to check out LVA's famous Member Rewards coupon book, offering discounts on dining and entertainment, including a buy one, get one for the awesome lobster buffet at the Palms, and more than $400 in gambling, free play, match play, and bonus offers. Up your gambling game today at LasVegasAdvisor.com. That's LasVegasAdvisor.com. Attention, all real estate buyers, sellers, and investors. Are you looking for a trustworthy and experienced team to help you navigate the Las Vegas, Southern Nevada market? Look no further than Bascent Realty Group, specializing in residential, commercial, and investment properties. With over 9 years of experience in the industry, we have the knowledge and skills to help you find the perfect property or investment opportunity. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, we're committed to providing exceptional service and delivering results. Contact us today to take the first step towards achieving your real estate goals in Las Vegas and Southern Nevada. Call now, 702-339-8052, or go to BascentRealty.com. Have you ever wanted to play in one of the biggest football contests in Las Vegas and win $1 million or more? At footballcontest.com, find out how to sign up and make your picks through Nevada's most experienced proxy service. You do the handicapping, we do the legwork, and our service is a convenience for both locals and non-residents alike. Over the past decade, thousands have trusted footballcontest.com as their proxy service and have collected winnings of over $10 million. Whether you're a fan of 5 picks against the spread or survivor pools, footballcontest.com has all the information you need to get started. You pick the winners, we submit your picks. It's that easy at footballcontest.com.
Mandalay Bay comes alive as the Fan District, the go-to destination for all fankind. Gather here, stay here, eat here, and celebrate here. Fans get exclusive food and drink specials and one-of-a-kind experiences loaded with giveaways, photo ops, surprise appearances, and more. And the best part, it's all within walking distance of the stadium. Get the party started or keep the party going at the Fan District. Welcome back into the HeatStrokes podcast presented by Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. Brady Kannon and Johnny DeSimone with you here, breaking down not only the Rocket Mortgage, but reviewing the beautiful Prim Valley Golf Club. It is time to get into this week's PGA Tour event, Johnny, not too far from your home there in the Great White North. It is a Donald Ross design, a par 72 at just under 7,400 yards. This will be the 5th edition of the Rocket Mortgage Classic, and we've seen bombers prevail in the 4 prior editions. Bryson DeChambeau, Cam Davis, Nate Lashley, and Tony Finau is your defending champion. The average winning score in the 4 prior tournaments is 23 under par. So a birdie fest indeed. The fairways, they are tree lined, but the fairways are also very wide. There is very little rough to speak of. The greens do have that traditional Donald Ross runoff areas, but they are primarily Poana with a little bit of bent grass blended in. The course is very flat, only one water hazard on the course, and the golf course should be very soft. There have been some storms in the Detroit area leading up to this golf tournament this week. There's also scattered thunder showers in the forecast for Saturday. And of all 4 days, not one of them has wind in the forecast of over 10 miles an hour. So, Johnny, I think we do have another birdie fest on our hands here. How did you handicap this one this week?
Yeah, definitely, Brady. We've had some crazy weather the last 3 days, actually, starting on Sunday and following up on Monday and today too also. So, if this tournament, Brady, if you told me, like, if you're picking a winner from way down the board there, like we saw Nate Lashley at 250 to 1 or Cam Davis at 150 to 1, or even if you said that you're going to go right to the top of the board, like when we saw Bryson DeChambeau when he won at 7 to 1, or when we saw last year's winner Tony Finau at 12 to 1, it just kind of shows you, in this brief history that we've had here, that this tournament brings a lot of players in the mix here, right? So, it is a weaker field this week than we had the last 2 weeks, following the U.S. Open and last week's elevated event at the Travelers there. But we will have the strongest field that we've had this year at the Rocket Mortgage, with Justin Thomas and Colin Morikawa playing for the first time here in Detroit. And like you said, this course does play extremely easy for the players. It's very flat. There's no elevation. Everything is right in front of you. Little resistance off the tee. You don't get penalized for a bad drive. This course ranked near dead last for penalty strokes per round. And like you mentioned, Brady, the bomb and gouge approach has worked to great success here. And what I looked into this week is good drives gained and that 125 to 150 yard approach shot to the green. And this week, I definitely put more a premium on putting than I would usually. So that's where I kind of started my handicap this week.
Yeah, I'm right there with you pretty much, Johnny. In light of what we've seen out of the Bombers, I did look at strokes gained off the tee, driving distance, and like you say, good drives gained. I also leaned heavily, like I always do, on strokes gained approach. I looked at birdies or better gained. I look at strokes gained putting on both on bent grass and Poana. But then I also, like you allude to here as well, I looked at hole proximity, not only from 125 to 150, but also 100 to 125 and 75 to 100. I think between 75 and 150 is where the bulk of the approach shots are going to come from this week. And guys that can really stuff it in there with a wedge from those distances and then hole a few putts, I think are going to find themselves at the top of the leaderboard. As far as comparable courses or correlated courses this week, I used TPC Craig Ranch, where they have played the Byron Nelson for the last few years, Memorial Park, where they've played the Houston Open the last few years. I looked at Silverado, where they play the Fortinet in Napa. And then I also looked at Port Royal Golf Club, where they play the Bermuda Championship. John, before we get to your picks, let's get to our guest picks. And for that, we bring in a mutual friend, a longtime golf handicapper and bettor, also really good at betting tennis. And that is our friend Lou Ford. He lives right there, not too far away in Detroit, Michigan. So he's very familiar with what it takes to get around this golf course. And Lou had been telling me that he's been employing a strategy in betting golf lately where he'll take one short shot, one mid-priced guy, and then one long shot, and then play each of them to finish top 5 or top 10. And he said he's been doing okay. Here are his picks for this week. He's got an outright as shortest shot on Tom Kim at 22 to 1. His mid-range price guy, the Canadian Adam Hadwin, at 66 to 1. And then Akshay Bhatia at 125 to 1. Now, he also played all three of these guys for a top 5 finish, and that certainly translated into some very good prices. Tom Kim at plus 450 to finish top 5, Adam Hadwin at 12 to 1, and Bhatia at 22 to 1. John, any thoughts there on Lou's picks for the Rocket Mortgage?
Yeah, it's Tom Kim pick. I like. He finished tied for 38 last week at the Travelers and a T8 at the U.S. Open. So he definitely has some good form coming in. He finished, I believe, a tie for 7th here last year, and playing in a weaker field this week should give him a good chance at winning. Adam Hadwin, fellow Canadian, he does have some good history on Donald Ross courses. He did finish here at the Rocket Mortgage 4th in 2020. So yeah, let's keep the wins going for Canada, following Nick Taylor's historic win, and hopefully he can have another one.
Yeah, no, and I think what Lou's picks will illustrate there was kind of a point you made earlier, Johnny, that, really I think anybody can win here, even though we've seen the Bombers do it, and maybe they do have an advantage. There are certainly a lot of shorter knockers that have found their way up to the top of the leaderboard as well. Tom Kim, Adam Hadwin, not exactly of the Bomber mold. But my friend, it is your turn. I am going to give the floor to you. What are your picks this week for the Rocket Mortgage?
I'm going with Ricky Fowler. He's probably going to be, a popular pick this week. In 19 events played, he has 7 top 10 finishes, 14 top 25 finishes. If you like a guy coming in great current form, his last 4 starts, he has a T6, a T9, a T5, and last week a T13 at the Travelers. Like we talked about already, Brady, I put more of a premium in putting this week. He's an excellent putter. And you would think last week was a spot for an emotional letdown after shooting a 75 in the final round at the U.S. Open when he was the leader going in. But he shot a 60 in the 3rd round of the Travelers last week for his lowest career round on the PGA Tour ever. So that's obviously really impressive there. And he's played all 4 years here at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. And he had a T12 here in 2020. And just last month, he was down here doing a clinic. So he's played already a few holes. He got to see the course. And I'm hoping his hot streak continues this week and puts him in the winner's circle. Another player I went with was Hideki Matsuyama. He's been playing some good golf lately since the Players, where he's finished 5th, and he hasn't missed a cut since the Players. He's finished in 13th place last week at the Travelers. He ranked 8th in approach for the week. So he's very comfortable playing on Donald Ross courses, in which he's excelled at. So if he gets his putter going this week, Brady, I think he can definitely win here this week in Detroit. Another player I was looking at was a newbie on tour, Ludwig Aberg. He just recently turned pro on tour. He had a ton of success on the collegiate level. He was the #1 ranked amateur. He has 2 top 25 finishes in his last 2 events. Finished tied for 24th last week at the Travelers. And this kid smashes the ball off the tee. He could definitely fit that bomb and gouge that we've been talking about, Brady, for this course, and that we've seen very successful at this tournament. So I like his chances this week there too. And another player I took in the outrights was Austin Eckroth. There, I really like the trend that he's been on lately. In his last 5 events, he has a T24, a T10, a T30, a T16, and a T2. So this week should set up really well for him. His strength is definitely off the tee. He is very accurate, long and straight, and he can go low, as he's shown at the Byron Nelson, shooting a 65 on Sunday. He shot a Sunday 65 at the U.S. Open, and just last week, all 4 of his rounds were 68 or less. So at 60-1, I believe he has a game to get it done this week in Detroit, and you can see there too. I played some matchups there. I took Aberg over Kirk. I took Pendrith over Sargent. I took Eckroth over Brendan Todd. And I also played some top 20s there that you see there too. I took Ricky Fowler, Eckroth, Hideki, Pendrith. He finished second here last year, a fellow Canadian there too. He should have a good gallery again this year, just a short drive from his hometown, just by Toronto there. He had tons of family and friends here rooting him on last year. So I think he could do it again this year. And for that number, plus 500 there to finish top 20, I thought was pretty attractive for him this week.
Yeah, I like your picks, John. And Austin Eckroth, I think, is possibly a star in the making. He was actually on our team. We drafted him as a part of our U.S. Open draft, Wes Reynolds and I, and we actually ended up winning the draft. Eckroth was a big reason why. Yeah, we had Ricky Fowler and Wyndham Clark on our team, and Eckroth was also, kind of one of our sleeper picks, and he really got us home with that victory. The guy's been playing very good golf, and how can you argue against Ricky Fowler? And I'll get to my picks here, and I am one on the same with Hideki Matsuyama with you. I got him at 20-1, and I've seen him down as low as 16. But really efficient off the tee. And you talked about his approach play. He is second in the field for strokes gained approach over the last 36 rounds. He is 9th in hole proximity from 75 to 100 yards, 12th from 100 to 125, and 14th from 125 to 150. Also excellent results on the correlated courses I used. Stefan Jager at 64-1. He's more of the bomber role here off the tee. 25th in this field for strokes gained off the tee in the last 36 rounds, 36th for strokes gained approach, 28th for birdies or better gained. He was also 5th here last year. He's got an 11th at the Byron Nelson, a top 20 in Bermuda, and a top 10 finish in Houston as well. And then the Englishman, Aaron Rai at 64-1. He's really been spot on lately, tee to green. He is 4th in this field over the last 36 rounds for good drives gained, and 6th in strokes gained approach, also 17th in birdies or better gained, and 8th in hole proximity from 125 to 150. Alex Smalley, also at 64-1, also like Aaron Rai, has been in very good form as of late, comes off of a top 10 at the Travelers. He has 3 additional top 25 finishes in his last 6 starts, has a 4th and a 15th in Houston, an 11th place and a 12th place in Bermuda. Over the last 36 rounds, this is kind of interesting, guys that tend to play well in a birdie fest. Alex Smalley is 6th in this field for strokes gained total on easy courses. And then I went with Chris Kirk at 69-1. He's missed the cut in his last 3 starts, but I think this golf course can get him back on track. He's finished 17th, 21st, and 12th at this tournament in the past. And John, I love how good he is with the wedges here. Over the last 36 rounds, Kirk is number 1 in hole proximity from 125 to 150, number 2 from 75 to 100, and number 3 from 100 to 125 yards out. And then finally, another guy that loves himself a birdie fest is Ryan Palmer at triple digits here, 111 to 1. 21st in this field over the last 36 rounds for birdies or better gained, 11th in strokes gained approach. He's finished 8th and 5th before at TPC Craig Ranch, and I talked about Alex Smalley being good on easy courses. Ryan Palmer, 20th in this field for strokes gained total on the easy courses. Now, as far as my full tournament head-to-head matchups, I went with a couple of guys that I also played in the outright market. I took Alex Smalley, minus 105 over Taylor Moore. I've seen that price go up a little bit. And then Johnny, we're oppo here. I'm going heads up with you. You took Aberg over Kirk. I'm taking Kirk over Aberg, my friend. One of us, I guess we could push, but we're going up against one another here.
Yeah, it does happen, Brady. I mean, that's what the sports books like to see, right? You know, you take one side, I'll take the other, and we'll just collect after, right? So, but yeah, I do like your picks. Obviously, I do like your Hideki Matsuyama pick there. I like your number even better at 20 to 1. Great number that you got there, and I do like your Ryan, your Smalley pick actually too. I did look at those guys. They just missed my card actually this week, believe it or not. And you are right; they are both coming in great form there and playing in an event this week with a field not as strong there. And they have a great chance of possibly winning this week.
All right, that is time for our Pizza Money Play of the Week, presented by Dom DeMarco's Pizzeria and Bar right here in the Summerlin area in Las Vegas. And Johnny, I promise you the next time you come to Las Vegas, Youmans and I will take you to Dom DeMarco's, a great Italian eatery. Di Simone, you'd love the place. Great pizza, great Italian food there at Dom DeMarco's. Our Pizza Money Play of the Week this week is a 72-hole winning score under 263.5. And what that means is 25 under par or better is going to win this golf tournament. Now, I mentioned that the average score here over the 4 years has been 23 under par. Tony Finau got it to 26 under par with his victory last year. And we talked about the weather, the storms in the area. This golf course is going to be soft, just like we saw last week at the Travelers, and we saw what happened there. That definitely turned into a birdie fest. No wind in the forecast, under 10 miles an hour. Johnny, I think these guys are going to throw some darts at these greens and light it up again in that neighborhood of 26 under par.
No doubt, Brady. It's like you said, it is a birdie fest, one of the easier golf courses on the year for these guys there. Probably a course that they can decompress a little bit after, playing last week in the Travelers, the elevated event following the week before the U.S. Open. So, a couple of, high profile events following this week there. The guys will take it easy a little bit, step on the gas a little bit with the birdies there, and they'll probably just enjoy themselves this week in Detroit.
All right, my friend, that is going to do it for this edition of the HeatStrokes podcast presented by Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. You can go find all the picks and all the information. They will be up shortly at our website, deadheatgolf.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find the video version with all the cool pictures of Prim Valley Golf Club a little bit later this evening on our YouTube channel at HeatStrokes Podcast. Thank you to our crew, Tom Catlin on video, Jeremiah Crow with Green Roll Media on the audio, and Trifco on the creative design. I want to thank our guest host, professional bettor, and friend of mine, Johnny Di Simone. You can follow him on Twitter at 3holes1. And also thanks to our special guest pick contributor, Lou Ford. You can follow him on Twitter at SweetLou23. We will be back at this same time next week to review another golf course in the Las Vegas area and also preview the John Deere Classic. And stick around here for a minute, folks, to find out how you can find and follow us. I highly recommend playing Prim Valley, everybody. It is really a tremendous experience. Make the short trip off the strip. Get out there, like Johnny says, for a round of serenity and decompress a little bit out there at the Nevada-California state line. Enjoy the Rocket Mortgage. Let's cash some tickets. And Johnny, please remind everyone to
stay hot.
You've been dialed into the HeatStrokes podcast with Brady Kannon, presented by Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, and produced in conjunction with Green Roll Media, the world's premier sports betting podcast network.
Subscribing to the show on YouTube is easy. Just search HeatStrokes Podcast. Follow us on social media at Las Vegas Golfer and at HeatStrokes Pod.
If you like what you heard, please follow, like, and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify today. Good luck out there sinking birdies and cashing tickets. We'll see you next week.